Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside Marine. Today, I'm going to be speaking with somebody who's played a pivotal role in repositioning the world's most exclusive brands through branding and strategy, recognized as a forward-thinking, progressive marketeer, leading the way with strategic, disruptive marketing in the superyacht world. I'm really excited today to be chatting to the CMO of Feadship, Farouk Nefzi. Hi there, Farouk.
Hi. Thank you for having me, and congratulations with your episodes.
Thank you. Yes, no, we're really pleased so far with the response and interest that people have in them. So Farouk, we always start at the beginning with this podcast. This is all about you and your journey in the marine industry. And I'd like to go right back to the beginning and just to hear how and why you got into this industry.
Well, it's actually an accidental encounter with the industry. I think I'm one of the very few that doesn't come out of the nautical industry. I haven't been growing up with my parents sailing and being on the water all the time. So I think I was, after my traineeship, after finishing university, I ended up at a company that was producing cleaning chemicals, actually, in near Rotterdam. And it was producing cleaning chemicals for the commercial shipbuilding industry, tankers and the likes of those. But also they had a specialized product for the yachting industry. And that was my first introduction into the industry. From there on, from that position onwards, I was actually invited to come and work for Amsterdam RAI and organize, for instance, METS and Europort. METS is going to take place next week, and that's what gave me basically the biggest insight into the industry from a helicopter point of view, which was absolutely instrumental to my level of knowledge into the industry. And I'm probably the only one who is rational about it.
Absolutely. And obviously, after your time at your time at METS, you were there for five or so years, I believe. And METS is a fantastic trade show for people who know it. They it brings the global industry together. What were the key things that you did during your time there to grow that show, to make it the leader that it was, over that time?
Yeah, first of all, METS was already a very reputable show and event that had a very efficient business proposition, if you will. Mm-hmm. So my role there is to make it into the size that it is now. I have made the industry at large embrace the fact that we were incorporating the superyacht element to the showcase, and in those times it was really only from growth to growth. We were in a very positive time frame, and the show has become so efficient because it's a hassle-free show. So all the worries are taken out of your hands. You arrive there, you just have a showcase. Everybody has the same stand. It's all about content. And a content-driven event like that, with all the efficiency that it has in it, that was, I think, the most important feature of my period at the METS.
Mm. And what are the big changes that you saw during your time there within the industry and the sort of the needs of the industry or the customer using the trade show? Trade shows seem to be things that are always developing and changing, right?
Yes. Well, I don't think there are many big changes in that relate to that time frame, because you have, of course, the B2B oriented platforms, the likes of METS, but you also have the boat shows that are a sort of a combination between B2B and B2C. where the end consumer is coming to watch the yachts, and of course you have the whole industry gathering to for the other side of the business. It's still like that today, and in that sense, I think this industry is a very conservative industry. It makes very small steps into really diving itself into the future, because there are a lot of challenges ahead. We have new generations that are coming up. We have a situation with a pandemic, for instance, that has ignited the transformation to the digital platforms. We have a lot of issues with regards to how fast can we adapt to a new sustainable world, where the yachting industry plays a very important role, in my view. And then again, you have the geopolitical environment. There's questions about wealth, for instance. How does that relate to this industry? And on top of that, you also have the question, and I think nobody is asking this question, is, and maybe I have to try to describe that a little bit better. If you look at the automotive industry, the automotive industry is an industry where cars disappear and then you produce new ones. So there is an element of a sustainable number and size and volume in this industry, while our industry is only increasing. Yachts don't suddenly disappear. Yeah, maybe once in a while, one or two that sink or there's a problem with them, but there's no industrial process, if you will, to the change that needs to happen in that way. So we're an industry that is only growing. What does that mean, and how does that relate to the topic of saturation? At the moment, we have a very, very interesting industry, which is positive. Everybody's profiting, full order books. But how does that relate to the economic life cycle? When everything does this, there is a point when it goes down again, just from a logical economic point of view. So when do we reach that point of saturation? Is there a point of saturation? Does that relate to the number of births that are in the world? Does that relate to the wealth that is applicable in the world? And what is the propensity to buy a yacht? I think all questions that I think need to be addressed.
Absolutely. No, I mean, you're right. And, what do you see, or do you see enough of that conversation happening across the industry at the moment?
Well, I think I see a lot of positive development in the industry. But you have to understand, I think, from a broader perspective, you have to question yourself if we as an industry are positioning ourselves in the right way. And I think there we have a long way to go, because the way we position ourselves is purely as an entertainment industry, the wealthy, the exclusivity, and the level of materialism that goes along with that. We're not really positioning ourselves as a purpose-driven industry. And then you have a totally different dialogue with the audience. And the people that we're doing it for, all our stakeholders, whether those are owners or the owners' representatives or the children of the owners or the professional industry, but also the worldwide non-yachting industry. How do we come across? And I think there is a lot more to say if you add the element of purpose to the big questions that are out there. And what I mean with that is, if you look at us and super yacht industry, for instance, we are investing now as an industry. Everybody is doing their bit heavily in to make ourselves more sustainable. So sustainability is a big issue, but by doing so, we are tapping into levels of innovation that have never been tapped on before. And that makes us the Formula One of our industry, of the marine, and maybe even the bigger maritime industry. So we are introducing new innovations that are going to be copied to other various industries. And with that, we do have a purpose. If you look at other aspects. For instance, in Norway. In Norway, the first yacht was delivered that is fully focused on sustainability. If you look at some of the yachts we have delivered, some of them have done exploration activities and to study the Arctic part of the world. Others have built in full laboratories into their yachts to test the waters, to see and play a role in making sure that the oceans are treated right. If you look at the Superyacht Society at large, there are a lot of initiatives being taken to play a role in this. So with all of these initiatives in the mix, we could tell a totally different story about our industry instead of only the rich man's toy or an absolutely emotionally driven vehicle.
Mm.
I hope it's a little bit lengthy, but I'm just trying to paint the picture there.
No. I think it's really important to talk about these topics, and they are so important, especially right now with things in the media, the environmental conferences that are happening, COP26, et cetera. It's relevant, and I think it's important, and influential people in the industry talking openly about it. I speak to a lot of people on this topic, and there's mixed views on whether there is the need, but the lack of being brave enough to start to innovate and be the pioneers with some of this stuff.
Yes.
Whether it's technology or the purpose piece.
Yeah.
I mean, let's come up to the present day. You're the CMO at Feadship, and keeping that theme of purpose going. What's happening at Feadship at the moment, and what are you guys focused on with things like sustainability, the next customer, that sort of thing, the next generation of people coming into our industry?
Well, first of all, as Feadship, we always have invested in a progressive form of being active in this industry. Mm-hmm. What I mean with that is we have always had R&D task forces, and we have always, you might know this, but we have been doing future concepts already for so many years to trigger the imagination of our customer base. But what we have done in the recent history, related to the topic of sustainability is first, we defined our own goals. And we wanted to make sure that we enable ourselves already by 2025 to deliver zero emission yachts. Mm-hmm. And then that's interpretable. You can interpret that differently because if you look cleverly at what does that mean, we are, and you can look at our unique episodes on Built Without Impact. You have to look cleverly what the possibilities of innovation and technology are in relation to how you use the yacht. 70% of the yacht use is short distances and close to shore. If you can, and the transatlantic travels are only 30% of the way the yachts are being used. So the majority of time are short distances. For that, there is available technology and innovation to really make them emission-free already by 2025. Mm-hmm. The only thing is you have to be willing to do so. And the technologies there are synthetic fuels. You can make sure that the hybrid option is in place, and then you can sail for a certain range, you can sail emission free. So that is one side of the business. We are literally investing and building yachts that are either hybrid. We are looking at many other topics like hydrogen, fuel cell technology. We're looking at synthetic fuels, so the biofuels. So there's a range of topics there that we are absolutely covering because there's not one solution yet. That is only the propulsion system. But if you look at the broader aspects of sustainability, we have built one of the greenest yards in the world in Amsterdam. We are outfitting our yards to become the other outfitting yards at Feadship. To become more and more sustainable. So using solar panels, you're using a lot of measurements to make it more sustainable. Next to that, we're looking at alternative materials. So we're looking for solutions to replace, for instance, topics like teak or other materials to make it more durable and sustainable. Next to that, we are, if you look at the future, we are looking at future generations. We are trying to appeal to them, to talk a different type of narrative, to make sure that we make sure that we are in line with what their perception is of how we should behave. For instance, transparency. If you look at our sites now, we have a full corporate social responsibility page where you can read exactly what we're doing, but it's also all real. So you shouldn't start with just throwing out a few headlines out there and pretend that it's all clickbaits just for the sake of having viewers. It's not possible anymore. Transparency, honesty is everything nowadays. So that is a very, very important element if you talk about next generation, but also the current generations. You should simply present the facts as they are. Don't beat around the bush. So by doing so, we are trying to reach out to new generations, maintain a good relationship with our existing clients that are more than willing to invest in the progress of sustainability innovation. And we are actually doing that as we speak. So a lot to say about that, but that is how we are looking at the element of sustainability.
And would you say the industry is driving the choice of the customer, or is the customers, or a new type of customer need is driving the industry to change? Who's taking the lead on that?
I think both ways. Mm-hmm. We have simply made a statement on that ourselves because we think we owe it to ourselves to play an important role in that. But you obviously also need the owners, as we are custom builder, to help us and co-create with us, that are willing to look beyond the traditional conventional methodologies. So it goes hand in hand, and we simply need each other.
Yeah, and you know, in the custom market, as you said, you guys clearly are. Are you seeing trends changing in what the new generation of customer is asking for in their yachts?
Yes, definitely. The big changes are that the yachts have really become entertainment platforms. But also the current generation of yacht owners, the ones that we have always dealt with, they also have children. They also have next generations surrounding them, and they are making their assets ready for also that generation. So you could clearly see the drive of innovation on sustainability, but also to make them a huge platform. So the number of toys on board, the beach clubs, the level of entertainment, Wi-Fi technology, modular technology to make them adaptable to the future. We just presented a concept called Pure, where the technology grows with you, as long as there's innovation. These things are clearly absolutely something that is that we see happening in front of us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the next big thing for you and Feadship, and what do you see that really excites you right now?
Yeah, what really excites us is, are we able to make the difference in the pace that we have in mind? So sustainability, we already talked about that enough. But also, how do we contain and make sure that the future generations are also interested in yachting? I think that is a big challenge, and you see that the worldwide wealth is growing. The number of ultra high net worth individuals are also growing, and I know that the last 2 years it's been an increase of 30% of ultra high net worth, which should mean a positive impact on our industry. But will it do that? So that I find a very challenging question. And in terms of leadership, we are making sure that the new generations of yachts are really future-proof, if you will, and that is why we presented the Pure case. At the same time, we're also making sure that we treat our clients in the full circle of their possession of yachts. So our whole service side of our business is really brought to another level. So refit, maintenance, but also the whole supply chain of equipment. Next to that we are also building tenders to go along with the mothership. So the questions from our clients are really, in that sense, are full cycle driven.
Absolutely. So lots going on at Feadship, and a lot of exciting stuff, which is really focused on the next generation, by the sounds of it, which is brilliant to hear. Yes. And a lot of change. I think whether it's driven by COVID or just a generation changes, the industry needs to evolve and adapt constantly at the moment, it feels. Yes, and we need to change our narrative. I think the way I think that is really something that that is a collective challenge. We need to make sure that we have also a different narrative that appeals to the important topics of the world. Change, without clean oceans, there's no yachting. So initiatives like Water Revolution, for instance, a collaboration of big shipyards, really trying to make a difference. I think those are positive developments, but we need more of that, and we need to try to not only present ourselves in a very simple way, the girls with bikinis showcasing themselves on the bow of a ship or of a yacht, and that's it. We really need to bring it further than that. There's a deeper impact that we could have on the bigger context of world around us. Absolutely. That leads us kind of quite nicely onto a subject that is really important to us here at Inside Marine and at Marine Resources, and that's the subject of diversity in our industry. Yes. I'm really interested to hear your view on diversity within the super yacht market and in the marine industry in general, and whether you are seeing anything, a positive move in the right direction on that side of things. Yeah. Well, first of all, from a client perspective, there's a lot of diversity. Okay. Because we're serving clients from all over the world. Second, I think the industry
from the professional side of the business. I'm talking about the industry itself, production, brokerage, everything that we do is, in my view, dominantly Caucasian and dominantly men. And I think there the right choices are being made. I do see incremental steps towards embracing also other cultures, male, female, and try to get them inside of the industry, because we simply need them. If you look at crew, for instance, it is very difficult to make sure that we have enough crew on board. So we do need that level of diversity and make this industry also attractive to those people, to make sure that we have enough people to work in this industry. And that is not only the hospitality part of things. We also need a lot of people that are needed for the innovation that we are, and the challenges that we have ahead of us. At Feadship, we are investing a lot in that, and we're making progress, but it's still, it's all baby steps. We are doing all our best, and we are very, very open and focused on that, but it's not an easy task. No. Getting new people, new generations into the business, craftsmanship is an issue, and we are doing everything to make sure that we have and diversity, but also, simply put, enough people to do the job. And you're looking at diversity already in your screen, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, I heard a great phrase the other day is that, talking about recruitment, is that if you are only considering, let's say, 50% of the people, then how do you know you're going to get the best person for your organization? Yes. And this was a conversation more around gender diversity in the industry. Yes. But it kind of sparked the question on what we can be doing as an industry to just get in front of a more diverse audience from a professionals come working in the industry at a younger age, people considering our industry as a viable career path, as opposed to what we see a lot in this industry is people moving into this industry from other sectors or from other skilled trades. We are lacking in people really choosing our industry to form a career in. And but I'm interested to understand what you feel as an industry we could be doing more of to get that message out.
Yeah. So I can give you an example of what we, for instance, are doing. We have our own education system, if you will. So we per year we have a number of people that come from different areas, and we invite them, young people, 16, 17, but also 20 years old, people that want to make a career move. And we simply embrace them and put them in this educational system whereby they learn the trades that we have to offer, and then we offer them a contract. And normally these people would have gone lost into many other industries. So we have a fully worked out platform to make sure that we align ourselves well with these people. And they are a very diverse pool of potential colleagues, if you will. That is an example. But at the same time, the way you are trying to describe the element of diversity, I think it starts with the first thing is that you are open to receive everybody that fits into the profile, not looking at gender at all. Mm-hmm. If you have a position, make sure that you put it out there and just accept everybody when you're doing the selection based on content. If you do that already, that is already starting with the right starting point. From there on, you could have a policy of having 30% or 50% or whatever of diversity in your company. I think you have to give everybody an equal chance. But I only believe that you can make a difference in a company if you simply choose the best people. And if you do that, the equality element, the equality level, will occur by itself, because talent is with every gender, is with every person of color, and it doesn't really matter where you come from, as long as you go for content. And I think that is the most important driver. If you're open to that and not too biased, then you can make a big difference. And it's that simple in my view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bias is important. And, one of the issues I believe in with diversity and in our industry is the unconscious bias, and
yes.
the real need for our industry to just talk about that and educate about that, and whether it's sustainability, diversity, and is our industry focused enough on the educating around these things?
Yes,
there's always a lot to achieve, and yeah, I don't know what you're.
No, let me tell you a funny story about that. You tried to describe me in what I have done, obviously, in your view in this industry, and I love the element of storytelling. That was not something that you definitely learn behind your school desks. You learn a theory, and you learn all the tricks and trades and the building blocks of becoming a marketeer, if you will. But what you can't learn is the element of creativity and the element of storytelling. And the foundation for that was laid down actually at my grandfather's, when I'm a second generation of migrants coming from Tunisia to Holland. Came with my parents at the age of 6, and we used to go on holiday every year to Tunisia. And we went to Tunisia. We lived in the capital city of Tunisia. It's called Tunis, and we lived close by the sea. And everybody was going to the sea and to the. But what I loved most is going to my grandparents that were living on the countryside, literally in the mountains. It was part of an agricultural sector, and I used to go there. And I was always horseback riding. I went with all the children, going down to the river, and I was in those days. They didn't even have a water in their houses, so they had to have these enormous how do you call them, where you put water in, the ceramic potteries.
Pottery, yeah.
Yeah, and I used to go with them on horses to get water from the water pit to bring it to bring it home. Those little stories, I can still envision them, and I have thousands of these stories. That is what laid the foundation for my belief in storytelling in our nautical industry, because I think that is the biggest change that you can make. If you're going to ask me what should this industry learn from the past, or what can we do to make changes, is tell the story in all honesty. You have to feel it. If you're making an ad, or you're making you're telling a story, or you're going to present your corporate business case to the world, make it authentic. Make people feel it. If you can achieve that without feeling that it's too gimmicky, if you're not really experiencing the under the skin effect of it, that's what we can learn, I think, in this industry. That will make absolutely a pivotal change if we learn the tricks of that trade. And the foundation for that, in my case, was actually having everything to do with my migrant background, not with the university where I was educated.
Absolutely. No, that's a brilliant story. Thank you for that. I really, really, really appreciate you sharing that. So we're coming to the end of the podcast, Farouk. And one of the ways we usually wrap it up by asking our guests one simple thing. If you were to be giving some advice to somebody who was considering joining our industry or has just joined our industry, what would you be telling them?
start by first being patient. Listen, observe, and learn. And then please be as close as possible to yourself to add your vision into the industry, whatever work you're doing. Because I am sure that this industry, if you embrace it, it's one of the best industries to work in. But you have to stay yourself. Don't accept just falling into the trap to be contained to what this industry was all about. Try to break through that barrier a little and make sure that you have your influence, because the world around us is changing rapidly. New generations, sustainability, geopolitical developments, innovation, huge innovation. So too much I think it's the only period in the history of mankind that we had so many influences happening all together that are having its impact on our personal life, on our work life, but also on the state of the world, if you will. All of that is having its effect on us. So you have to be able to deal with all of that. Absorb, listen, and please try to influence your vision into this industry.
Brilliant. That's some fantastic advice for somebody there. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for your time today, and some really, really brilliant insight into your journey, what's happening now, your views around sustainability, diversity, fascinating stuff. And so I wish you all the best with implementing all of these things that you're very, very clearly ambitious and passionate about. And hopefully you can come back again and talk to us again in the future.
Thank you very much. And I wish you a lot of success with your beautiful platform. And maybe we'll meet each other live someday.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Bye-bye, James.